why don't you guys take it away?
Appreciate it, Keith. Thanks a lot. Chris, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, partner.
All right. Well, Coach, it's an absolute honor to be on here with you guys, and love what you're doing, and of course have tremendous respect for you and your legacy as a coach and a leader. So, man, I'm really glad to be here.
Well, thank you, partner. We'll jump right in here, and I've told these guys that you're obviously a lead pastor, but you're a sportsman, and love sports, and you relay that from the stage very, very often. But
Right.
tell us how a guy from Mississippi, how you came to love sports, and take us all the way down that path to how you ended up being an Alabama fan.
Oh man, well, I do love sports, and I love sports because I think it taught me, and it has taught my kids lessons that go far beyond just the athletic part of it. Right? I think that being on a team, learning to be a teammate, all of those things, and then discipline that is required. Those things are life lessons, right? So, and I don't. Even as a pastor, it's not a surprise to me that the Apostle Paul and others would use athletic. Of course, the Greek, ancient Greece were into athletics, where we get the idea for our Olympics. And of course, there's a lot of the athletic language, even in the New Testament in particular. So for me, man, I grew up in a little town called Hurley, Mississippi, which if you just get on Airport Boulevard and go towards Mississippi, you run into the town where I was. And I grew up, man, playing baseball. And my two sports I loved was baseball and basketball, man. Absolutely loved it. And just couldn't get enough of either one of those. And in fact, funny enough, when my youth pastor who mentored me came to our church, I was 13. And I remember him thinking, he said, look, I think God's got a plan for you to be a leader and do a lot of things. And he said, I'm going to get you off that baseball field to do something besides baseball. Because I was just so baseball crazy, man. I really was. And also loved basketball. Loved football too, but man, that was more of an elementary, middle school thing. By the time I hit high school, for me, it was baseball, basketball, and because I was so involved in my church with what we were doing there too, I had to pick. I couldn't do three sports. So for me, that was my journey. But funny enough, Hurley is as much in a way, this may sound crazy, but if you know where it's situated,
Right.
It's literally right on the Alabama line. So half of my family lived in Grand Bay. Grand Bay, Alabama.
Gotcha.
So that's where I learned how to dove shoot and all that in fields. Everyone in my family were farmers in some way, big landowners. And so my great-grandfather was such a huge Bear Bryant fan and I have his hat. He had this houndstooth hat that hangs in my office to this day. He was a huge Bama fan, and I just kind of, as a kid, I thought anyone named Bear, that's pretty cool. And so that's how I became a Bama fan, man. And literally from my childhood on, I was a huge Alabama fan. And this, I went through some lean years, man. I'm not a bandwagon guy. These people that jumped on the Saban wagon aren't real fans. You know what I mean? I was there for the Shula years and all that happened after. Of course, the years with Coach Stallings were great, but we had some lean years there. So that's where I became a Bama fan, Coach.
Well, now, and of course, sports in Fairhope, Alabama, where our church, where our home base is for church,
right.
Very, very, very big. And you've got
all three of my kids play.
You got three children playing. Tell us about how you're able to balance that with everything else you've got going on in life, and balance three teenagers involved in multiple sports.
Yeah, well, I don't. Number one, I don't do it perfectly. So I want to be honest that it is a balancing act. And I'm a real big believer. I think the idea of balance is a great target to shoot at. But the bullseye is what you call perfect balance. I think balance, though, is very elusive, like perfect balance. I think that there are times where life just gets crazy, and we're in one of those seasons right now. I got three kids playing multiple sports. One of them is a senior in high school, and literally as I'm doing this podcast with you, my daughter's getting ready to play a volleyball game, and you try to be at everything. But for me, I decided early in my ministry, and thankfully I had mentors to help me with this, you're all at some point you're going to disappoint someone, and I want to do my very best to make sure that that's not my kids and my wife who's getting disappointed.
Right.
So that's why I build a great team around me so that we share the load, because we want every person at Three Circle to get what they need ministry wise. But what I've tried to do from the very beginning, there's this thing in the church that I call the holy man syndrome, and it's the thing where they think only the guy that's up there in the pulpit, can help me with this. And we've tried to break that down and say, no, we've got a big staff of pastors and shepherds and leaders that can help you, and it doesn't have to be me. I would love for it to be me, but with as many people as we have, there's a group of us that do that, and I think that's really helpful.
Well, okay, and thank you for sharing all that, and then from the church perspective, I mean, big building project, about to build a gym. Tell us about that and all that's going on with that and where we're headed.
Well, number one, I mean, what's happened over the past 11 years while I've been at Three Circle has blown me. I feel like I've got, I could not have. Number one, I've always loved the Eastern Shore. I love our area, our geography. So we lived in Atlanta, and then we went to Florida, Coach Fred, but I always wanted to come back here. I don't know. I guess I've got this brackish water running through my blood. I love the Gulf Coast. And so when we got a chance to come to Fairhope, I have a deep love for Fairhope. I asked my wife, Fred, to marry me in downtown Fairhope when we were in college. So when the door opened for us to come here, it's been just a dream situation. And to watch the way the church has grown. We now have campuses from Thomasville, Alabama to Mobile. Our newest campus is in Robertsdale. And then, as you know, we have a ministry on the beach called Worship on the Water that meets down at the Floribama. And we've got multiple projects going on at the same time. But one of them is a new gym in Fairhope. And we're very excited about that because, I don't know if you know this, we have this wonderful city that's growing like crazy here in Fairhope, but there is a shortage of gyms. There really is. And I've coached all my kids in basketball, Little League basketball, and it is a constant struggle to try to find places to practice.
Right.
And so we just want to partner with our community and build a building that we not only use as a church, but we want to help our community. And so we're really excited about that.
And that's going to be lined for. It's going to have basketball, volleyball, pickleball,
pickleball, which is a phenomenon right now, and I love that people of all age. My family, we play pickleball, and it's so fun. So and what'll be cool about it, Coach, is on the weekends it'll also be another worship environment for us because we continue to run out of space, even though we built a lot of stuff. So. Right. We're excited to have another venue basically on our campus, but the rest of the time that gym will be used, hopefully by our community in a lot of different ways.
Fantastic.
Well, I applaud you for what you're doing with the facilities. This is something new. Coach did not let me know this. I think Mobile, Baldwin County, they lack the facilities to attract youth and adults as well. I've lived in different places and traveled a lot, and I applaud you for what you're doing there with the facilities and look forward to seeing them when they're done.
Oh, thank you. We're very excited about it. And again, we just, want to serve the community and build buildings. If we're going to build a building, let's build one that we can use for the community. We're also going to build a facility in the next few years at our new campus, which is over in Robertsdale, our newest one. And we want to build a facility there that from the very beginning is designed to also be multi-use, that we can help the community, So that's what we're all about. Our mission at Three Circle is to be local, regional, global. That's the idea of Three Circles. It comes straight from the New Testament. And, we're, instead of just looking at our communities and saying, hey, y'all come look at what we do, we want to serve our community. We want to serve every community where we have a campus and just, do everything we can to make sure that those communities are great places to live.
Well, Chris, that all, and of course, a lot of that I already knew, but I knew our listeners would want to have a little more in-depth knowledge into what makes you tick and what you've got going on. We're having Dennis Hayford on next Wednesday night, so he's got he's got a tough act to follow.
People I've ever known.
Dennis Hayford would smile if he had a nail in his foot.
I'm telling you, and that's a smile. That's $1 million smile right there,
right? Ain't no doubt about it. Well, thanks so much for coming on. God bless you. We appreciate you, and
Thank you.
I'll see you on Sunday.
Okay, Coach. Thanks. My honor, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was a fantastic conversation, Coach. Good questions there.
Oh, thanks. I was at the first. We had a pastoral change when I was at Three Circle, and me and Susan were at the church the day he came in for his sort of tryout. And he knocked it dead. I mean, you knew this is going to be the guy.
That's great.
That's wonderful. Keith and I grew up Catholic, and sometimes the homilies can be very brutal when the new guy comes in. So they kind of got to work through the road bumps. But I'll tell you, he was very charismatic. I cannot wait to attend a service over there.
And I will throw in that my son-in-law is the facilities manager for the church over there, and he's overseeing all that project and heavily involved in that. And my daughter is our oldest daughter is the lead vocalist, singer, songwriter on the praise team. So
Fantastic.
we're heavily involved in that and very committed to that church, and have watched our kids basically grow up in it. So it's personal for me, certainly.
That's awesome. And I'm looking at their website too. It looks like you can even join in online if you're unable to make it
Correct.
to the facility, not feeling well, or even out of town. And that's just always a great